Hey everyone, in today's quick tip, we're gonna go over the startup, idling, and shutdown procedures for our equipment. Check this out. Okay everyone, today's quick tip, we're gonna go over the startup, idling, and shutdown procedures for equipment. Now, first thing, every time you key it up, thing is just turning it one click over. All the newer systems nowadays have a lot of electronics and technology in there. So you want to give the system a moment to boot up, and that's where you're going to see any error codes or anything you need to check on your display. Once you get the all clear there, that's where we're turning it on. Turn that key over. Once it starts running again, you're looking for any error codes. Now, there's a warm-up period. Well, I should say this. There's not nearly the warm-up that typically has been done in past. So it used to be in the old days, especially depending on the ambient temperature out there, you might want to let that machine idle up 10, 15 minutes. That's not how it happens any longer. So really it's with the newer, lower emission equipment, you don't want to just leave that machine idling. So that includes in the beginning. So depending on your temperature, usually we let them run for maybe a minute or two. You're really just trying to get the oil temperature up a little bit in there because that's going to be cycling through the engine. So once that has been given a minute or two, you're good to go. At the most, I would say if you're in a colder climate like our Minnesota site, we might let them idle for 5 minutes or so, just to really, at the beginning of the day when the machines are totally cold, because we want to let that oil, again, warm up and the machine be ready to go. So, but again, the key is keeping that time minimal, but also you don't want to just go at it. You don't want to turn the key, start moving levers right away. You want to give that machine a moment to start circulating the oil through the machine. After that, once your machine's good, so even just talking here for a few moments, we're good to go. You engage the safety lock lever, throttle it up. The next thing is really, especially in the beginning of the day, cycling your hydraulics. So you want to, when you warm this machine up, whatever machine I'm in, I like to cycle the hydraulics. So I'm going to open the bucket and close the bucket. What's that doing is you've got a lot of just hydraulic oil. It's a fluid going through those lines. It's one thing that you want to be able to cycle through. One, you're going to find any problems if there are any, but two, it's kind of, I call it the morning stretch. You're stretching out the equipment. So it's another good thing to do before you just go at it right away with the equipment. You want to give that machine a moment to warm up. And again, a lot of that's going to be dependent on your temperature outside. If you're above 50 degrees, you're not going to need nearly the amount of time stretching out those hydraulics, including the engine oil, things like that. So that's there. Now, idling the machine, again, same thing with the newer equipment. They do not recommend idling for any longer than a few minutes. So if you're getting out even for a couple minutes, just shut the machine down. With the diesel exhaust, there's a lot of different systems in these newer machines where they got to run a regeneration. There's some other pieces on that we'll cover in a separate video. But generally, if you are going to idle for longer periods, you want to keep the engine running, you're going to want to have the lock lever down, so the safety device, and be down at throttle at your minimum. So whether if you're in a wheel loader, you want to have it in park, have your foot off the accelerator. This is, again, with the technology, it's going to cycle through, and it's going to, if it needs to run a regeneration or do anything, it's got its own settings, but it won't do that unless you're with the lock lever down, things like that. Otherwise, if you're just idling for a moment, again, you keep that thing running. When you're ready, we park them. End of the day, when we park them, again, I put the lock lever down, minimum. Same thing, there is a small cool down period. It's not nearly as extensive as it used to be. You understand, like, these have, the turbos in them are, a lot of times they're cooled with oil. Different pieces of this machine need to cool off. We usually give it about 30 seconds to a minute to just cool everything down on the machine, and then we'll cycle it off. So again, that is our quick tip for the startup, idling, and shutdown. Give us any of your tips below. Thanks a lot.